John Ulzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Ulzheimer.
Hey there, this is John Ulzheimer, and today we're going to talk about something that's either really pleasant for you or really unpleasant for you. Divorce. Not necessarily the whole process of divorce and why you're getting divorced and whether divorcing your spouse was a good idea or a bad idea, or if you're bummed that your spouse served you with divorce papers. It's really about what is the effect of a divorce settlement or a divorce decree on joint liabilities. So liabilities are debts or accounts where both you and your ex-spouse are listed as a obligor or a co-obligor. And that's not uncommon. It's less common these days for things like credit cards, but it's certainly not uncommon for things like auto loans and mortgages. And student loans is another one, where you generally will have more than one person who is a signer on a loan because they may need two incomes to qualify for the amount of money, and so you have two debtors. So what happens if you go through the process of divorce? You go through, you eventually will settle with your soon-to-be ex-spouse, and y'all will agree to divide assets and liabilities. You know, so-and-so gets the house, so-and-so gets the car, so-and-so has to do this, and so-and-so has to do that. So that's all part of this settlement between you and your soon-to-be ex-spouse. Well, one of the things that you agree on is who is supposed to take care of debt. In other words, who is supposed to continue to make payments on debts. And so let me give you a hypothetical example, and then we'll work through the rest of the video using that example. Let's say you and your ex-spouse are joint on a car loan, okay? So both of you signed the paperwork for the loan because let's say maybe you needed both incomes or both the quality of someone's credit to qualify for the loan, and now both of you are technically in debt to the auto lender. Let's just say it's Joe's bank. It doesn't really matter. Let's say that you owe Joe's bank, excuse me, $50,000 for the auto loan, and that's still the amount of money that's remaining on the loan. But now you get divorced, and let's just say in the divorce settlement you got to keep the car, and you're also responsible for paying the car loan. All right. Your ex-spouse is still on the loan. That's one of the great myths about divorce settlements, is that somehow the divorce settlement changes your contract with the lender that was signed years prior to you going through your divorce. Let me let you in on a little secret. It doesn't. If you signed loan paperwork, or if your ex-spouse signed loan paperwork prior to your divorce, you're still on the loan paperwork. So the technical term is superseding. Your divorce settlement does not supersede the language of your original promissory note or loan paperwork with your lender, which means that both of you are still liable for the car loan, even though the court ordered you to make payments on it, and now you have the car. So here's the downside to that. There's really not much downside to you because you still have the car and you're still the one making the car payments. But the downside could absolutely be on your ex-spouse because of this. Number one, your ex-spouse, whether it's a he or a she, your ex-spouse is still in debt. So the $50,000 balance on the car loan is still something that's going to affect your ex-spouse's debt-to-income ratio because the monthly payment is still reoccurring and it's still due, and technically your ex-spouse is still responsible for that payment, even though you're the one making the payment. Number two, credit. The loan is still on both of your credit reports, which means that as the balance goes down, because you're paying it off, then the balance is going to go down on your credit report and on your spouse's credit report. However, let's say hypothetically that you start missing payments on the loan for whatever reason. Let's say that you lose your job, whatever the case may be. The late payments associated with that loan are going to go on your credit report. They're also going to go on your spouse's credit report. If you default on the loan, the default's going to go on both credit reports. If they have to repossess the car, that's going to go on both credit reports. So that's something that I need you to consider before you even go through the process of divorce consider the possibility of avoiding joint obligations, because 50% of you that are watching this either have already gone through a divorce or are going to go through a divorce. And it is a whole lot easier to divorce your spouse than it is to divorce your creditors. So, and I know in my example, you were kind of on the better side of the equation, but imagine yourself on being on the other side. And then imagine it being a mortgage, or imagine it being a car loan, or imagine it being a credit card, where you're really depending on an ex-spouse, probably somebody you don't get along with any longer, to continue to make payments and protect your credit by doing so. So interesting. It's an interesting issue. And one of the great myths is that somehow the divorce kind of magically removes your name from the loan paperwork, where it absolutely does not. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments section below, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
For more videos and credit tips from John Ulzheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.